Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to the Results Podcast. It's great to be back, sharing with you some more tried, tested, and proven ways in which you can grow your business. And this week, I'm very lucky and honoured to have a gentleman with me I'm going to interview called Marcus Cauchi. Now, Marcus is someone, I think we've known each other, Marcus, for about, I don't know, must be about 3 or 4 years now. And those of you that know me know that, like, years ago, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I used to play table tennis at international standard. And when I did that, I always had this attitude and this belief that I was going to do my best to learn from, somebody who's truly world class. I wanted to get around the best players and practice with them and spend time and really do what they do in order to get the results that they achieve. When I then set up my business, I had the same attitude. So I went and looked at, who's the world's leading marketing people? How can I learn from them? And when I met Marcus, I knew that I'd found somebody who was truly world class in the sales arena. And Marcus and I have known each other, I say, for about 4 years. He's somebody I've been on many of his workshops and seminars and so on, and I've listened to Marcus many times. I watch lots of his videos on YouTube and so on, and he really is, I believe, a world-class trainer in the field of sales. So all that said, welcome to the podcast, Marcus, and thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
It's great to have you here. So do you want to just tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you came to be where you are right now?
Yeah, I've been in sales for about 34 years. And 17 years ago, I learned how to sell. So like many people, I started out in an environment which was really focused around selling features and benefits. It was about presenting to sell, learning how to handle objections. And what I realized 17 years ago was that none of that actually helped me to close business. People bought in spite of it, not because of it. And I came across this system called Sandler. Now, many people would have come across Sandler. You'll have been exposed to little bits of it, things like negative reverse selling, the dummy curve, pendulum theory, the submarine. But what most people don't really understand is that selling it's essential in selling to have a system. And the problem is that most people in sales, and this was me for the first 17 years, their system is to qualify loosely for BANT, budget, authority, need, and time, then to present features and benefits, and then to close and handle objections, and then follow up with a proposal. That effectively puts you into the buyer's system. And the buyer's system is that they lie, not because they're bad people, but because they've had bad experiences with salespeople. So they're reluctant to be open. They don't want to be pressured, and they also want to know what you know, but they don't want to pay you for it. The single largest source of continuing adult education are bad salespeople, because their tendency is, when asked a question, is to answer it. Now, buyers lie, then they encourage you to move into free consultancy, so they steal what you're telling them. They have no intention of buying. Now, again, it's not their fault. There are no bad prospects. There are only bad salespeople. If you fall into that trap, that's on you, not them. And once they've got you to do the free consulting and you try and close them, they hit you with a barrage of objections, stalls, smoke screens, delays, higher authority. And you handle all of those with warm, fluffy, reassuring statements like, "Thank you, Mr. Prospect. I really appreciate you telling me that." In fact, a lot of our customers initially felt that way. And what they found was, when you're given a price objection, it's expensive, or compared to what? Well, they're used to all of that, and they're not impressed by it. The rule is that you should have your prospects handle their own objections. In fact, they should do the presentation, they should close themselves, handle their own objections, write the proposal, And your job is to facilitate their process of discovery so that they end up using their data to convince themselves.
Well, that's a very different and profound way of looking at that sales situation, isn't it, Marcus? I've heard you say that or something very similar to that before, and do you know what? I remember the first time I heard you say it, and I thought, do you know what? He's absolutely so right there. The people do lie to you when you're trying to sell them something, and it's not that they're bad. It's just half the time it's that they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to say no, I'm not interested, because that's not what they want to say.
Well, the final piece of that buyer system is lie, steal, mislead, and hide. How many times have you been ghosted?
Oh, yeah.
Done a demo.
I'll phone you next week, and then they're not there, and they phone back, and you email them, and you phone back again, and
Well, I get this from prospects and clients all the time. I did all the work. I can't believe they haven't responded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the majority of salespeople who are full-time in the profession spend up to 80% of their time chasing people they should have disqualified or closed on the last call. Now, if you eliminate that one step of hurry up and wait, hurry up and chase, you can increase your production capability by 400%.
Mm-hmm.
So people come to me because they're frustrated that they're not getting in front of enough decision makers, or they're getting in front of decision makers but they're not closing, or if they're closing, they're having to discount and overservice to buy and keep the business. They keep hiring the wrong salespeople. And actually my job, I see it as mainly getting them out of their own way, stopping them from performing acts of self-sabotage and idiocy. And I don't say this callously. I did this myself. I know that I left at least £56 million of my employer's money on the table because I was doing exactly that: qualify, present, close, follow up.
Mm-hmm. That's a really, really good point. Now, obviously, at the moment, Marcus, we're all going through tough times. We've got the coronavirus and the impact on business and so on and so forth. And I just wondered, from a sales point of view, and I appreciate this varies a lot from, perhaps one industry to another, but what are your thoughts what should people be doing right now in terms of trying to sell?
Well, first of all, let me challenge you. I don't believe everyone is having a hard time. I think
No, I agree.
Leisure,
they're
retail,
not.
Travel, you definitely will be having a tough time. But I see this as a massive opportunity. I mean, in the last 4 days, I've closed 4 brand new bits of business, which I didn't have in my pipeline less than a week ago.
Right, wow.
So I'm seeing this with a lot of my clients. Yes, pipeline has dropped off the cliff. A lot of people have shut up shop, and they're trying to get used to the new normal. We could be in this for 3 months to 18, maybe even 24 months. And the challenge here is really to think differently. I think the opportunity is not to work harder, but to double down on your thinking. A lot of prospects are closing down any non-essential spend, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what does non-essential spend mean? Well, it's not necessary now, but many of you will be working in environments where actually what you're selling is more important than ever. The first things to get shut down are anything to do with non-essential spend. Marketing gets cut. Recruitment gets frozen. They stop investing in technology and IT. They cut the sales force. Actually, all of these are things that they should be doubling down on.
Yeah.
The reality is, one of my favourite examples is the Cadbury and Bourneville story. So prior to World War II, Bourneville was the number one chocolate manufacturer, and Cadbury's was very much a second spin-off.
Okay.
As soon as the war started, Bourneville ceased all advertising. Cadbury doubled down, and they advertised more, despite the fact there was no cocoa, there was no dairy, and there was no sugar. When they came out of it, Cadbury's was the dominant player, and Bourneville, how many of you have actually bought a Bourneville product in the last 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what we should be doing is thinking more effectively. Strategy hasn't gone out of the window, but unfortunately, most organizations are shelving it for the time being. But the new normal, when we come out of this, most organizations are still going to have to really work very hard in order to maintain their momentum. But if they stop planning, if they stop those critical projects, they're going to be in deep trouble when they come out of it, because there's going to be a land grab. Technology, any technology that can enable people to collaborate, communicate, improve the well-being, help people out of isolation, help people to be more effective, help simplify organizations' processes and structures, help them reduce their debt, help them increase their cash flow. Anything like that, you should be in an absolute boom time. So my recommendation is don't think about what worked 2 or 3 weeks ago. Think about where your prospects are today, and think about where they're going to be in 3, 6, 9, 12 months. Think about what are the conversations your prospects are having today. If they're the chief executive of a 5-10 million pound turnover business, they're thinking about, how can I survive this period? But actually, a better question is, what can we do to thrive in it? Mm-hmm. What can we do to take advantage of our competitors being paralyzed? Yes. How can we bring massive value to our customers in a way that builds trust and builds value in our relationship? Because if you're operating on a 3, 6, 9, 12-month sales cycle, if you stop now, you'll pay the price when that period is over. People are still spending money, and the economy is going into a coma. It's not dead. Yeah. There are plenty of people out there who are still buying. They're just not buying stuff they consider non-essential. So my question to you as listeners is this: what is it? What problem do you solve, or what problems do you solve? Why would those problems matter enough to your prospective buyers for them to invest time, money, resource, and prioritize those, and take the budget from all those other projects that they're mothballing at the moment and invest in what you're offering? Ask yourself the question, what is it that we can do to help our customers make it through this stronger? Not just make it through by battening down the hatches and stopping the water getting in, but what can we do in order to partner up with them and collaborate with them to help them get better? Because that's the definition of a partnership. You help each other get better. But very few people are thinking like that. And a lot of people, there are salespeople up and down the country, paralyzed and asking themselves the question, is now a good time to be selling? Should we be prospecting? Damn it, yes. Yeah. Of course it is.
I agree.
They need your help more than ever. And the other interesting thing, I was speaking to one of my partners, and they have found a 300% increase in access rates by cold calling. People are sat there twiddling their thumbs. Yeah. 1 times higher probability of getting through. Yeah. Now, yes, you have to be sympathetic. Yes, you have to be empathetic with their current situation. But it doesn't mean you can't have a conversation about what really matters. No. The not urgent but important stuff. Yes. The strategic thinking. Yeah. Think around the problem, then you have a really good opportunity now. I'm expecting our business to at least double, if not triple, over the next 6 months.
Wow, yeah, it's great to hear you say that, Marcus, and I think what's happened over the last few weeks is that people went in almost in meltdown. This is terrible. The end of the world, and they just went in a total and utter panic. And now they're sort of thinking, this is going to be tough, and it's going to get worse. We hear that. But, I totally and utterly agree with what you're saying. Does this mean that, I agree, certain industries, if you're a pub or a restaurant, and the government have closed you down, it just feels, my heart goes out to those people. But there's also a group of people who are sort of, life's tough at the moment. It's difficult to make sales. And then there's also another group who actually are going, if you sell toilet rolls, you're probably doing really well right now. You can't manufacture enough or hand sanitizer or something like that, face masks,
I was on a training call with I was on a training call with one of my IT managed service providers today.
Yeah.
And they were having a hard time because naturally, their pipeline's fallen off the cliff.
Yeah.
But then I asked them the question, has the requirement for collaboration disappeared or grown? Has their need to ensure security grown or shrunk? The reality is when people are working from home, the danger for them is, for IT directors, is that those people will start using their own devices.
Yeah.
And so they're going to create all sorts of security problems.
Yeah.
Now, the average length of time a hacker has been in a system before they fire off the attack is 170 days.
Wow.
Now, when this happens, you don't want your people to be creating backdoors for hackers and phishing scammers to be getting into your IT network and looking at how your emails work and how people communicate. Because this is how frauds are created. And most of the problems with security start with human error.
Yes.
This is a massive problem. So if you're in IT, double down in terms of the conversations you're having about the strategic value and how IT can be an enabler for your clients. If you're in marketing, you need to be doubling down with your the CEO, the CFO, the chairman, the board of your existing accounts and your prospects and asking them, well, are you laying down to die? How are you going to fund the staff that you have that you've kept on? How are you going to make it through this without getting new business through the door?
Yeah.
How are you going to drive down your cost of sale? Yes, you want to cut down on bad marketing, the stuff that isn't delivering, that isn't measured.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a guy, a mathematical psychologist, a fascinating Martin Lucas a couple of days ago. There is $54 billion a year of Facebook advertising that gets zero engagement. 1.67% of ads get any form of click-through.
Yeah.
The rest get nothing. That's $54 billion. You want to stop that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? And you want to find out the marketing that works.
Yes.
You want to deliver massive value. So one of the things I would urge your listeners to do is really concentrate on developing narrative stories in terms of their content that speak to the conversations that their prospects are already having.
Yeah.
I'm finding that on average, when I post that kind of article on LinkedIn, for every 3 I post, I get 1 inbound inquiry. So I post about 12 a week. So I'm getting 4 inbound inquiries with people who are reading my material, and they say, it's like you're a fly on the wall. I was having that conversation with my partners only yesterday.
Wow. That is seriously cool. Well done.
Yeah, it's great. And it costs me nothing.
No.
Zero, zilch, nada, niente.
Yeah. There are so many different, ways that you can market these days, and for me, I've been talking to people for many years. I would say the number one mistake that people make as far as marketing's concerned, and this is more crucial now than it ever was, is to make sure that they measure their results. I always remember, I think it was Sir John Harvey Jones when he took over at, was it ICI? He said that I know for a fact that 50% of my marketing's not working. The trouble is I don't know which 50%. And I think that's probably true with sales. I know for certain that 50% of my, sales team are producing results, but, we don't know the information about who that is, maybe.
Well, actually, there are 2 things to pick up on that. The first thing, I think a lot of marketing is selfish and boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marketing that talks about you, your company, your products, or your services is like showing photos of your ugly children to strangers. They'll politely look at 2, maybe 1 or 2 of the photos, and then they'll wish that they were somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. So your marketing absolutely needs to focus on your customer, not you.
Yep.
Second thing, I think a lot of people are measuring the wrong thing. They're measuring the vanity metrics, likes, comments, and shares.
Yes.
What actually matters is the subsurface, direct communication where they contact me on LinkedIn. It's not that they respond on my posts. That's my vanity metrics. It's when they direct message me and say, Marcus, we need to talk. That's the only measure that I really care about.
Yeah, yeah.
And the third thing is, I don't know if you've come across Price's Law. Price's Law states that 50% of your production will come from the square root of the number of people in your organization. So if you have 10 salespeople, 3 of them will produce 50%.
Okay.
If you have 100, 50% will be produced by 10. And if you have 10,000, 100 people will produce 50%. Because what we notice is that talent grows in a linear fashion, whereas incompetence grows exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, the same thing goes with your marketing. 50% of your engagement will come from the square root of the number of posts that you post. So that 3 to 4 responses off the back of 12 to 15 posts is about right. And so it's worth doing the post, but the posts need to be valuable to your audience.
Indeed.
They need to speak to them where they are.
Yes.
And enter the conversations they are having. When you pick up the phone to a prospect, do not start with, hi, my name is Marcus Cauchi from Sana Training. We're a sales training organization that's been around since 1967, because they don't care.
No.
Instead, have a conversation and say, Steve, I'm not sure whether or not this is going to be of any value to you. It's a cold call. Let me tell you in 30 seconds why I'm calling. And then you can decide whether to hang up or we talk for 2 more minutes. Does that sound reasonable? Okay, so get permission. Don't just invade their space, get permission. And then enter the conversation they're having. So if you were a marketing agency, I would probably phone you up and say something along the lines of, look, Steve, typically owners of marketing agencies are worried because a lot of their customers have decided that they're going to cut back or completely stop their spend at the moment. Others are telling us that they really don't feel comfortable prospecting at this time because they feel that they may be overstepping the mark or being pushy. And a few are telling us that they're having to make some tough choices about who they keep on and who they don't because they're under pressure because their cash flow is tight. So I don't suppose any of these ring any bells, do they?
Yeah. Do you know what, Marcus? I remember you telling me that. It must be years ago. And I know that little thing off by heart. I really do. And it is so useful. It's so valuable where you basically say, we work with people like this. Some have a problem with that. Others have a problem with something else. And a few have a problem with the third thing. And you know, it's worth its worth. I love the simplicity of it, Marcus, and it is worth its weight in gold. That what you've just given there is just worth its weight in gold to the listeners if you use it.
I've made more money off that 30-second commercial framework than any other tactic.
Wow, yeah.
And if any of you want to hear this in action, type into Google cold calling, child's play, Anna, A-N-A, Cauchi, C-A-U-C-H-I video, and then listen to my 11-year-old daughter, as well. She's 16 now, but 11 years old, not only making a cold call, but landing a meeting with the CEO of a company, and we ended up making £16,000 off it. Okay?
That is fantastic.
Listen to that call, and then pause it every few seconds, make a note of what she did and in what order, so that you can get the syntax, the order in which she does things.
Yeah.
And pay attention in particular to how she asks questions and listen to how she gets him to sell himself and close himself on the outcome.
Wow.
It's a stroke of genius.
It's child's play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the beauty is Anna didn't know what she couldn't do.
No.
So she took direction.
Yeah.
The challenge that most of your listeners will have is they've got a lot of baggage in their head telling them what they can and can't say, can and can't do. And they're probably being taught to sell features and benefits and talk about the value that they can bring instead of have the prospect do all the work. People never argue with their own data, but they'll argue with you till you're blue in the face.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, they have this, that I've been in sales 25 years, and this is the way I do it. And it's all that baggage, isn't it? Getting rid of all that and going, do you know what? That might have worked to some level. But if you want to, raise your game, if you want to do better than you're doing, you've got to be open to these new ideas. And that, I think, is, as I said, is just absolutely gold dust. So,
when most people say they have 20, 25 years experience, what they really mean is they have 1 year's experience,
25. Yeah.
And
yeah.
They haven't learned. The best salespeople I know are voracious learners. They put in an hour to 3 hours of study a day.
Yeah.
They are absolutely committed to permanently improving.
Yeah.
They prepare, they plan, they rehearse. When they come out, they do a debrief. They work out what worked, what didn't work, what they could have done more, better, or differently. Before they go in to meet a prospect, they do a pre-mortem, and they work out what could cause it to go wrong. They are meticulous because they are intelligently lazy. The best salespeople I know like doing as little as humanly possible for the most amount of money back. Uh-huh. The motto we have in our business is double the money for half the work.
Right.
That's the unofficial version.
Yeah.
The official version is do less but better on purpose.
Yeah.
So I challenge all of you who are listening. What can you do less of and still get the same or better outcome? What can you stop doing? Because chances are, over the years, your systems have become complicated, fat, and clumsy. Now that you're working in isolation, you're going to struggle to operate those systems because before you could do workarounds. You didn't really follow those systems. Now you need systems. Now you need processes. You need systems for attraction, for qualification, for sales, for closing, for onboarding, for growing accounts. It costs you 15 times more on average to close a new prospect than sell to an existing customer.
Yeah.
How many of you are looking at your existing accounts and working out where can I grow those accounts? Are you just looking at the organic growth of selling them something different, something similar, more of the same, different project? Or are you looking at their supply chain, their joint venture partners, their collaborators, people they co-sell with? Are you looking at their family of accounts, parent companies, sister companies, subsidiaries? Are you looking at their alumni, people who used to work there and have gone somewhere else who may have the same problem? Are you looking at the customer's customer and looking at getting referred? If you're an IT company, I can guarantee you don't want your customers to open your business up to vulnerabilities, and you don't want your suppliers to open you up to vulnerabilities. Mm-hmm. So if you're selling to an IT company or you're selling IT security, if I was going into an organization, I would be asking, who are your top suppliers? Who are your best customers that you communicate with the most? How certain are you that they are secure? Because it's going to create all sorts of problems if they aren't secure.
Yeah,
and you could suddenly become liable and vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot say, a big enough thank you, Marcus, to you. I really do appreciate it. And people listening today, I really hope you take this on board, particularly as Marcus and I have said, at this time, we all know things are tough. But that doesn't mean that, your business or my business or any business, is not going to be able to create sales unless you're in the restaurant or similar industry right now. But even if you're... Sorry, Marcus?
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
I'm working with a hospitality business.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of key workers that still need rooms.
Yeah.
So even their business is not dead.
Yeah. And you've got a lot of pubs and so on who are just doing stuff. There's one pub near me that they're just doing deliveries to older people. That's what they're doing. They're charging. It's really, really cool. They're charging. It's called the Red Lion. They're charging £38 a week to deliver a hot meal for old age pensioners within like a 3-mile radius. And they just charge a weekly fee and a different meal every day. That's what you call, it's a bit of determination, isn't it? As you said, ask yourself the question, what do people need right now? Well, they don't need to be in a pub drinking beer, because that's not good for them. But what they do need is to be able to eat. And if you're an old age pensioner, getting out to the shops and, standing in a queue 2 meters away from each other for an hour and a half, is not an option. I know they can get stuff online, but I think that's a really, really cool way of doing it.
Absolutely, and they deserve to be noticed, and give out their details. Where is this Red Lion?
It's in Southsea, Portsmouth, where I'm based. So, yeah, good for them. Yeah. Absolutely. So, thank you again, Marcus. Really do appreciate it. If people want to know more from you, want to come on your workshops, and I assume you're doing lots of stuff online right now, they want to contact you, you want their help, they want your help, what do they do?
Best place is to contact me on LinkedIn. So it's Marcus, Marcus Cauchi, Cauchi. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I produce a lot of content, and I'm doing a lot of content at the moment around how do you sell through the COVID-19 crisis. I'm also on YouTube. I've got 400 videos on there, and I'm producing more all the time. I have a podcast. It's marcuscauchi.podbean.com, or it's on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Or email me, mcauchi@sandler.com. And get in touch. If you want to sit in on one of my classes, I'm running them over Zoom. I have 4 classes a month for sales, 1 for management. And you're welcome to come as a guest, but we need to speak beforehand. Get in touch. And if you do connect with me on LinkedIn, make sure you click follow, and that way you'll get notified about the new content that I'm producing. And it's all relevant to what's going on at the moment.
Fantastic. Thanks again. Thanks for everybody for listening. And if you want to know more from me, just go to www.stevemills.co, or indeed connect to me on LinkedIn too. So I'll say goodbye. Thank you ever so much. And I look forward to speaking to you again on the Results Podcast. Thank you very much for listening.